The Canadian Card Collector here, and welcome back to day 535 of Daily Deck Review. And the deck that we're taking a look at today is the Green Knights playing cards from Ellusionist. So, without further ado, take a look and see what we get. So that you can see it is a matte, well, yeah, a flat matte green finished tuck box there with a little bit of gold foiling and embossing. So you got that Knights logo there with the two horses with the sword there in the middle. Then you got the little Illusionist E there in the middle there. On one side here it says brutality graceful, and then you can kind of see like a little embossed in the background Knights there. On the other side it says gracefully. I can't even read that because it's cursive. Gracefully butyl there, and then you got the Knights there once again there, and just slightly textured. On the bottom here, you've got created and distributed by the Illusionist Planker Co. You got their logo, and it says manufactured in Belgium there. So the stock and finish is the thinner feel Cardamundi B9 stock there. Then on the back here, you just have the gold foiled little chess pieces there, all the different ones, from like the pawns to like the king or the queen there. And then on the top here in that gold foil, you got knights. There's no seal for the cards. So crack that open. On the top flap here, you got all four suits there, kind of embossed. There, and then you got a big gold bar going across the top flap. Inner top flap is that flat green. If you take the cards out of the box, on the inside top box is fully custom. So you got the knight there on the inside. Then you got like the flat gold, the flat matte green for the background, and then you got like the gold squares, kind of like a checkerboard. So it's a green and gold checkerboard throughout the entire interior of the tuck box. But now that we look at the tuck box, time to take a look at the cards. And as always, we'll start with the back sign. So here we have a mirrored, a mirrored back design there with the standard white border going around. There's a white background with those green metallic chess pieces there. That's one of my favorite Illusionist decks out there. I just love that kind of green metallic colorway. And it is mirrored, so you flip it over. Same design in both directions. But now for the cards you get with the deck. Here we start with the first Joker. And like I say, these were also in collaboration with Chris Ramsey and Daniel Madison. There. So the first Joker says Joker. And you got the crow there on the rook. There. Or on one of the chess pieces. I'm not sure if it's the rook or not, because I don't really play too much chess. And then you got a second identical Joker there. With that green metallic ink. Then we get to that custom Ace of Spades there, which has Knights. It says Madison and Ramsey. Then you got that custom spade design there. It was like the Knights there. You got like a chessboard there with the sword going through it. And it says the Illusionist playing a company. And then the rest of the spades are pretty standard. There's slightly smaller suit there in the middle, but they're just standard and pretty classic looking numbers there in the corners. Then we get to the court cards, which are just standard court card design. But they do, some of the cards do have custom faces. I won't really know the faces of the custom people because they're actual people's faces. But I think the King of Spades is David Blaine. That's kind of who it's reminding me of. But then you got the custom colors, so the black and white color with that green metallic ink there. Then we got the diamonds here, which are slightly lighter red colorway. With the red metallic ink and the little black border. And that goes throughout the rest of the diamonds as well. And then we got the court cards once again, that same custom white, black, and green colorway. There, and the same colorway for the court cards for the clubs here. And you got those custom faces for some of the court cards. Once again. And one of the court cards is Daniel Madison, and the other one's Chris Ramsey for one of them. Because they're in this deck. There. And then you got the clubs here, which are just standard clubs, just the smaller pips. And then lastly, the hearts. Once again, you got that custom colorway there for the hearts there. And you got that custom face there on the king there. And then you just got the smaller, lighter red hearts there. And then with this, the black border. And then the last two cards in the deck, you got a little two cards here. So you got the knights facing the different way. One, it has a 4 and an R. And then if you look at the cheek, there's a little spade there. And this one has a club, so it says 9 clubs. And then M for Madison there. But now that we took a look at the cards, for the handling, like I said, they're just that classic thinner feel Cardamundi B9 stock. So they will still they'll handle pretty nicely. They will feel a little bit different because they definitely feel different. And they will handle different than if you're used to like the United States playing company like Ilka's Finish or something like that. And they will definitely feel different. But they're still super smooth. They got a slight like thickness to it, but nothing like too crazy. Once you break them in, and they feel a little bit better. But like I said, they handle pretty nicely. I always like to test out the different stocks and finishes of cards to see how they feel. But overall, these handle fantastic. They spread super smoothly, so no issues with the spreadability of the cards. And they just look fantastic overall. But I'll continue testing a little bit of the handling to see how they actually hold up. And there seems to be no issues so far with the handling. So I guess, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. And this has been day 535 of a Daily Deck Review. And this has been the green edition of the Knights playing cards from Ellusionist. And I'm the Canadian Collector, signing out. That's the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.